Kia ora, and welcome to this video on the work that the Christchurch Diocese has been doing in conjunction with Sylvia Smaroska from Marian College, Stephen Woodnut from Catholic Cathedral College, Rosemary Madden from Catholic Cathedral College, Hamish McIntyre from St Bede's College, Thomas Newton from Villa Maria College, and Andrea Craig from Villa Maria College. So this is the site that we have created, and what we've done is we focused on one of the topics in Year 9, and on the screen here you can see that we've got a range of vocab quizzes because there's a lots of rich religious literacy in there, and so we've provided 3 to 5 quizzes across these different platforms so that students really embed that within their learning. We also have a range of pre and post tests, so they're both in Google Form and Microsoft Forms, so they're multiple choice questions that cover the entire unit, and those are self-marking as well. So you as the teacher get some really good learning data on the gaps of your students before beginning the unit, and if you would like to, you can use that again to see how far they've progressed. What the most exciting part about this is that we've drilled down into key ideas, and there's 8 of them for this particular topic. And how it's set out is students can watch content, so this is no longer than the length of the song, so they can watch it in class or they can watch it in their own time. What students then do is look at the content and see if they can answer baseline questions about the content that's been presented. So students can stop, pause and rewind this content as often as they like, so that they can get an understanding of it. In here, students create questions based on the content that's been presented. So it could be a wondering question, it could be a confusion question, or it could be a clarification question. And then what students do is try and find other students or peers within the class that can answer their questions. They then come back to the teacher, and the teacher will check in with students just to see where they're at and address misconceptions as soon as they occur before they go on to learning tasks. So before students complete any learning activities, they have a baseline knowledge which to progress to. This is still under construction, but we have a range of different learning tasks as well. And this is based on Bloom's taxonomy. So at a baseline level is remember, understand, and it grows through to analyze and create. So a really basic activity is this one here on screen, which is tic-tac-toe. So they have to get 3 in a row and master these 3 activities before then going on and selecting another activity. So these activities can be self-selected by the students, or the teacher may direct students to specific tasks. So say if a student only does learning task 1 and 2, that's fine because they've mastered the baseline content. You might have students that you want to push a bit further, so you might direct them to a beginner task and then get them to focus on these more creation of content tasks. What we've added in next is that students can complete a checkpoint question. So this is a question to check and clarify their understanding. So this one here is from Pentecost and Stephen. So what they have to do is try and argue from the question below here which option is the correct or the best option, and they also have to provide evidence and reasons why. That's option number 1. Option number 2 is that students complete a multiple choice question quiz, 10 questions, based on the key idea of Pentecost and the first martyrs. So in the teacher support book, we have the pre and post test there, the learning task, and this is it here. So if I go into here, I'm forced to make a copy, and what happens is that again, these are all self-marking quizzes so that you can get the data as quickly as possible to show that students have mastered this key idea of Pentecost and the martyrs. A question you may be asking yourself is, why are we going on this particular journey? What we've done is that we've looked at the current climate that we have within our classrooms, and we're aiming for these particular aspects. So a lot of our activities are collaborative and focused on peer-to-peer interactions along with the teacher. It's also to differentiate. So some students might just do the remember, analyze, and that's remember and understand. That's great. While others want to be able to analyze and create. We're looking for skills, adaptive capacity within our students as well, just not kind of regurgitating knowledge again. It's also about encouraging curiosity in terms of if they can create content that others in our community can enjoy, say through recordings or QR codes or augmented reality. And we're also looking, it is very much a group space, this process, but we're trying to develop independent learners as well. A second feature of this, the term flipped learning, blended learning, I'm not too bothered on that. What I'm bothered about is the outcomes for our students. So again, as you can see, this environment is very flexible in terms of when and where they can do it. It's very student-centered. It's about where the student's understanding and learning is at, rather than a whole class perspective, because students will have different abilities and we want to be able to reach them where they're at in terms of their knowledge, but also at their faith stage as well. The most important thing that we believe is the maximization of class time. So that means that instead of giving direct instruction for 20-30 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, and that what we're really focused on is why we got into teaching, which is all about those interactions with the students and developing their learning. A really exciting part is also the feedback that we're able to give. So as the teacher, you're able to know where your students are at instantaneously and change your approach based on the data that you're collecting from them. A question you may ask is that what's the research basis behind this? So on screen here, I have kind of the development of this. So peer instruction, which is used where students try and convince each other of what the most correct answer is. So that's why that's the checkpoint question that we had in terms of they're discussing with each other and using their learning to help each other. Next we have Novak with just-in-time teaching, which is I'm receiving learning data from my students and I'm changing my teaching approach based on the misconceptions and the areas that they really want to drive into. The inverted classroom and the flipped classroom, I know that many people will think, oh, it's just you're just putting video content up there and that's great. Actually, it's not so much about the videos. What it is actually about is these areas here, which is looking at maximizing your face-to-face time with your students. What is the best use of time with your students, engaging with them, and also giving them instantaneous feedback. So the positives that we see from the research is looking at when they are able to discuss and have a range of examples, and where they're able to write summaries of their learning. So hopefully this is something that is going out across the Christchurch Diocese. We've had a Year 7 and 8 trial, which is in its third iteration. So if you're interested, please get in contact with the Christchurch Catholic Education Office to find out more.